Now that we know how to properly read whole numbers, let's practice adding whole numbers and then also subtracting whole numbers. Let's begin with some vocabulary words. Of course, 3 plus 4 equals 7, but it's important for you to know these words. The 3 is called an addend, the 4 is also called an addend, and the 7 is called the sum, or you may have heard it called total. So there are many words in this addition problem, but it's important for you to know addend plus addend is equal to sum or total, especially when we get to applications. Now that we know this, it's also important for you to study sums of one-digit numbers. If you do study some sums of one-digit numbers, you'll notice some patterns. For example, you'll notice that the sum of any number and 0 is that number, and we call that the addition property of 0. For example, 11 plus 0 is simply 11. Also, 0 plus, let's just use a one-digit number, 0 plus 5 is that number 5. So let's look at that addition property of 0 just to remind ourselves. The addition property of 0, the sum of 0 and any number is that number. For example, 7 plus 0 is equal to 7 and 0 plus 7 is equal to 7. So we reviewed that property. Also, another property that will help us later when we're adding larger numbers, also help us when we're doing applications. Let's talk about what we call the commutative property of addition. Remember, commutative property will have to do with order. So notice 3 plus 4 is 7. You also know that 4 plus 3 is 7. In other words, you know by now that order does not matter when adding, and we call that the commutative property of addition. Let's look at that property. The commutative property of addition, changing the order of two addends does not change their sum. For example, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Notice the vocabulary words used in that property, changing the order of addends. So make sure you know what an addend is. Does not change the sum. So here we have addend, addend, sum, and once again addend, addend, sum, or also total. And order has to do with commutative property. Here we're talking about addition.